Coming up in today's newscast, 45 rockets are launched at southern Israel from Gaza overnight. The United States withdraws its membership from the United Nations Human Rights Council, and an Israeli helps the Carters take over the Louvre.
The silence of the early morning hours was shattered today for southern Israelis by the firing of at least 45 rockets and mortars from the Gaza Strip into Israeli territory. Thankfully, at this time, no injuries have been reported, but we do know that at least 3 of the rockets struck Israeli communities near the border, while most of the others either detonated in open fields or were destroyed by Israel's Iron Dome defense system.
As always, Israel holds Hamas 100% accountable for security threats inside the Strip. The IDF has just delivered a massive counterattack in response to this affront, targeting some 25 Hamas sites within Gaza. This turmoil is a troubling spike during an already tense time between Israel and Gaza. This morning's rocket attacks come mere days after an IDF counterstrike in response to flaming kites and balloons from Gaza. Top army brass is reportedly against using lethal force against Gazans flying these deadly kites for fears that the body count might push the region to war. But given this morning's event, many believe that path is all but inevitable.
Returning now to the studio with more on this latest Gaza rocket fire is Middle East expert and colonel in the reserves, Dr. Reuven Berko. Thank you so much for coming back in.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to have you back. So, first off, how should Israel be responding to this recent attack? Are they responding the right way, or would you like to see even a little bit more?
This is a hard question. Israel has all the potential and abilities to respond in any way we would like to choose. But we have to wait the influence of any of these options. At the time, Palestinians do not have anything to offer into the conflict, and which is a chronic of a defeat that you can understand, you can predict. So I believe that the abilities are so handy, but the results are limited by the fact that we have to take into account the barrage, the electronic barrage that we are now completing by the time. We wouldn't like it to be disturbed. This is on one hand. And on the other hand, the damages for the time being, thanks God, are not that serious. We are not waiting for this to happen, of course.
Right.
But despite this, we take measures to deter, not to hurt. We do not want actually to renew the circle of violence.
But that begs another question, because clearly, at least to some degree, deterrence isn't working. I mean, we've had a ceasefire, we've had ceasefires with Hamas, we've had all sorts of agreements, and they are broken, as we've just recently seen, either by Hamas or other organizations that are operating out of the Strip. So
I believe that they are misinterpreting Israel for the time being. Misinterpreting is taking into account our abilities, and they dare to increase steps. It means, in a way or another, that you are right. The bottom line is that they lost. We lost our deterrence relatively, but see what they do. The kites are a desperate act of those who have tried tunnels, who have tried missiles.
Maybe they're desperate, but they're working.
Yes, this is the ridiculous situation in which Israel is in, the cyber nation.
Sure.
The people who have so many abilities in so many fields standing without actually a real ability, for the time being, I say, and emphasize, to stop this sabotage, which is actually also against Islamic religion. This actually shows
nature, sure.
Yeah, they are Islam do not allow to burn forests, trees, and others. This shows the fake story about what they say Palestine.
Sure.
Because those who love the land wouldn't burn it. This actually shows that they have nothing to do with Israel as a land of Israel, and they burn it. I believe, I'm optimistic, I'm not bothered Do you agree with me?
Yeah,
I believe that the Israelis will find very soon a response to this. Among other things are the targeted killings.
Yeah.
We should not respond directly to the field they offer. We can strike in another field, in another arena.
All right. Well, with that, I think that's a good point to
That's what we'll do.
Colonel Berko, thank you so much for coming back in.
Thank you.
All right, now, a district court in Israel has just set a major legal precedent in the trial of 2 teenagers accused of killing the Palestinian Dawabsha family in their home. In the trial surrounding this incident, which took place in the West Bank town of Duma, it soon emerged that Shin Bet interrogators allegedly tortured the 2 teen suspects to elicit their confessions in the deadly firebombing. Well, in a groundbreaking ruling, confessions made under duress will no longer be admissible as evidence in trial.
This crime was one of the most gruesome committed in recent years against Palestinian civilians. The prime suspect, Amiram Ben Uliel, was arrested and charged with carrying out a deadly firebombing that killed 3 members of the Dawabsha family. This included a young infant toddler, as well as both of the child's parents. Another suspect was arrested along with Ben Uliel, suspected of being an accomplice. Both suspects eventually confessed to the crime during interrogations with the Shin Bet, but later they claimed that they only offered their confession because they were tortured by investigators. The issue of torture, or ticking time bomb scenarios as they're called, is still very much a source of debate in Israel. This ruling, which throws out confessions made under torture, is a groundbreaking precedent in this matter. Significantly, however, the courts will still allow the confession made by the prime suspect, Ben Uliel, because he apparently admitted to his crimes long after he was submitted to torture. The prosecution will likely have to throw out its case against Ben Uliel's accomplice, though, now that his words are no longer admissible as evidence. This will also likely complicate their case against Ben Uliel as well. At this time, Ben Uliel has also confessed to being involved in at least 6 other hate crimes against Palestinians in the West Bank. These confessions will also be heard in court.
Nearly 1 year after threatening to withdraw from the United Nations Human Rights Council, Ambassador Nikki Haley and Trump's Secretary of State Mike Pompeo have just delivered on that promise. As of today, the United States will no longer be a part of the UNHRC, and Nikki Haley has specifically cited the Council's alleged anti-Israel bias as the primary reason why. Here's her official statement.
There are several countries on the Human Rights Council who do share our values. Many of them strongly urged us to remain engaged in the Council. They are embarrassed by the obsessive mistreatment of Israel. They share our alarm with the hypocrisy of countries like Cuba, Venezuela, Democratic Republic of Congo, and others serving on the Council. Ultimately, however, many of these like-minded countries were unwilling to seriously challenge the status quo. We gave them opportunity after opportunity and many months of consultations, and yet they would not take a stand unless it was behind closed doors. Some even admittedly were fine with the blatant flaws of the Council, as long as they could pursue their own narrow agenda within the current structure.
Here with more on this development is ILTV's Brett Allen Smith. Brett, I don't think this exactly caught people off guard, but still, it's a very significant move, no?
Sure. I mean, this is something that the Trump administration has threatened to do, for quite some time now. And this also follows a well-worn strategy of the Trump administration in withdrawing from past international agreements, such as, the Paris Climate Accords and the JCPOA Iran nuclear deal. I think for Trump, the presumption here is that departing from these agreements is in line with his, America First policy, but at the same time, the obvious counter-argument is, if what the U.S. truly wants is a reform of these groups, how can they do that if they're no longer even a part of them? I mean, take the UN's Security Council as an example. There, Nikki Haley has repeatedly used American influence to veto resolutions that they feel are, biased against Israel. But as of now, they're officially not going to be able to do that anymore now that they've taken themselves out of the Human Rights Council, if the treatment of Israel is really the big issue here.
So that's an interesting point and actually a common criticism, though. I will say that Prime Minister Netanyahu has already praised America's decision to withdraw, and Nikki Haley says in her statement that staying in the Council at this time is hypocritical to its mission of serving human rights.
Yeah, I mean, I will say something else about the timing here. This withdrawal comes at a time when the Trump administration is facing severe criticism for its zero-tolerance immigration policy, which includes separating children of migrants from their parents at the U.S.-Mexico border and keeping them in bare-bones holding centers all over the United States. Now, pictures and audio tapes of these facilities have already leaked out, along with testimonies of doctors and senators. And in these tapes, you can literally hear children crying for their parents, and some of them can be seen being held in cages. And the press has also learned of at least 3 tender age centers in southern Texas where children aged 3 and below are being held, again, separated from their parents who are facing prosecution for illegal entry, and with no end in sight here. In fact, just a few days ago, the head of the UN's Human Rights Council had this to say.
In the United States, I'm deeply concerned by recently adopted policies which punish children for their parents' actions. In the past 6 weeks, nearly 2,000 children have been forcibly separated from their parents. The American Association of Pediatrics has called this cruel practice government-sanctioned child abuse.
Well, as we know, President Trump has often defended this policy and accused Democratic lawmakers of having legislated it before his time. At this time, however, there doesn't appear to be an actual written law that requires this policy. It was seemingly put into action by Trump's Attorney General Jeff Sessions just last month. He was citing Reno v. Flores, I think, but that agreement is still in litigation. Now, on a coincidental side note, though, today also happens to be World Refugee Day. Correct, Brett?
Yeah, it is. You're right. The Pope has actually just tweeted a message of hope in honor of World Refugee Day. In the tweet, he specifically criticizes Trump's immigration policy here, which he slammed just a few days ago as immoral. And that's a sentiment that's in line with what countless Christian leaders across the United States have said as well. So, I just want to make it clear.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, I want to thank you for joining us, and I appreciate the update. Thank you, Brett.
Of course.
And now the rollout of President Trump's new proposal for Israeli-Palestinian peace has officially begun. An American envoy led by Trump's special advisor and son-in-law Jared Kushner has just met with the King of Jordan in Amman to discuss the potential deal. And this meeting comes just 24 hours after Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu also visited with King Abdullah in Jordan, a clear indicator that the Hashemite kingdom is likely seen as an essential linchpin for this deal. Trump's special Middle East envoy, Jason Greenblatt, was also in attendance for this high-stakes meeting. And though the details of the deal itself remain to be seen, discussions covering the United States' idea for helping solve the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, as well as the overall issue of regional peace, but the issue of Jerusalem remains the biggest obstacle if any such deal is even possible. President Trump's decision last year to move the United States Embassy to Jerusalem is widely seen as the event that pushed Palestinians away from the negotiating table. And there have been zero talks between the Trump administration and the Palestinians following that decision. Notably, though Greenblatt and Kushner will travel to Israel and all over the region to promote this plan, there are no meetings with Palestinians on the itinerary. Trump's strategy is expected to have Arab allies pressure the Palestinians into accepting the deal, but speculation is high that this plan may come dead on arrival, considering how frozen relations with the Palestinians already are. Regardless, we'll just have to see what the proposal actually is and whether or not it can deliver enough common ground to bring both sides together. An IDF Skylark drone has just been reported as crashed in southern Syria. And though the situation in Syria is intensifying more and more by the day, the Israeli government claims that this isn't as bad as it sounds.
Locals began tweeting images of the downed Skylark just hours after this Israeli drone crashed in Quneitra near Achader. The IDF is claiming, however, that no classified information was compromised from the unmanned aerial vehicle. And while Syrian sources originally said the drone was shot down, the IDF says the incident was caused by a technical failure. Speaking of, this latest incident continues the Skylark's poor operational track record. This week's crash makes it at least the 5th time since January 2017 that the Skylark came down unintentionally. Further, the Skylark, aka the Skyrider, is the IDF's smallest drone, intended for tactical missions such as patrolling and gathering intelligence. This tactical surveillance drone was created by Israel's Elbit Systems and is operated by the Artillery Corps. It can be launched by 1 or 2 people with a live video feed being provided to soldiers on the ground. Now, while this is not the first drone crash for Israel, it is certainly one that raises eyebrows. The crash comes at a time when Syrian rebels are battling against Bashar al-Assad's regime, and Israel has been pushing for Iranian forces to withdraw from Syria before establishing a permanent foothold along the Israeli border.
My next guest is here about the age-old problem of missing children. Every year in the United States alone, nearly 460,000 children under 18 are reported lost or missing. Well, joining me now in the studio is Chaim Mesika, the Vice President of Barkid, with their innovative solution to this issue. Chaim, thank you so much for coming in, by the way.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so my first question, first of all, tell me about Barkid, you know, the solution, this bracelet, what do we have here?
Okay, it's very simple. We had a problem in Israel that we have 13 missing kids. Not missing kids, certain kids in an auto that their parents forgot them inside the auto. And we had 4 dead. 4 dead, which is wow. And, you know, as a startup nation, we had to find a solution for that. And 4 kids in Israel, it's a drama. So we decided to employ technology to resolve this problem. And the problem is very simple. It was to find a way to put that on the
nice little bracelet around,
yes, on the hand of the kid and the child. And the moment that when you are, let's say, the parents, if they go out of the car and they go to the supermarket, for example, and they forgot the child. So the thing is that you get an alert in your smartphone. Yes.
So how does that work? Does it work on like GPS, on you know?
It's not working on GPS, and we wanted it very safe for the children and for the baby. So we have done it with a technology called BLE, which is a Bluetooth technology with 0 radiation. This is a very important point, so they can keep that 0 radiation.
So they can keep it on them.
Yes, every time, and you don't have any problem with that. That's why we have done this product, exactly. So you can touch it.
I mean, it's nice and light. It looks like something a kid, you know, might want to wear. And I assume you have like different designs, because here you have a line.
We have a glow one. Yes.
So
exactly.
I mean, so the kids get to, you know, have their own kind of fashion dressed in a sense, and this lets you know whenever they're outside of your site.
And I can tell you, it's not just technology. We saved 2 lives in Israel. One in Modi 1 year ago with someone that forgot. A woman, it could be a man, of course. A woman that forgot her baby inside the other. And you know that with the weather here,
it's brutal.
It's exactly. So we saved the life because she were just entering the supermarket, and she got the alert from us. And okay, she said. And another one was in the sea, in the beach, in fact. And one she didn't find a kid during 10 seconds, and she received an alert.
Enough.
Yes, because 50 meters, it's not enough, and you can define the scope of this.
So okay, so I understand also that you have a campaign on PeopleBiz, you know, to raise
money. Exactly.
And then this has also been on the market for a year now. So where is this available?
First of all, we are selling it. It was a proof of concept until today, and now we start not just selling it, but we start to raise money. We start raising money, and this is what we are doing with the people of PeopleBiz, peoplebiz.com.
Sure.
And because we are in Hebrew we say a chevra chevratit. That means we are a company very social. So we would like that everybody in Israel participate to this. Let's say mitzvah to come with this.
All right, so I'm going to tell everybody, you know, check out Barkid on PeopleBiz and support it, and go, you know, check this out for your kids if you have them and are sick of them walking away. Chaim Masika, thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much for having us. Thank you. Bye-bye.
World Cup fever has infected the Holy Land. The second round of the group stage is on, and Israelis are getting more and more amped. And by now, almost everyone has already placed their bets and picked their favorites. And government officials at the Israeli embassy in Argentina are no exception. They're rooting for, you guessed it, Argentina. And to cheer them on, the embassy has just uploaded a humorous little video to YouTube. Here to tell me more is ILTV's special correspondent on Latin American affairs, Joy Gavijon. Joy, before we get to the actual video, what are people saying about it?
Thanks, Aaron. Well, this video comes right after all the controversy with the cancelled friendly match between Argentina and Israel. So in this 1-minute video, we can see the Israeli ambassador to Argentina, Ilan Stulman, wearing the Argentinian jersey and sending a strong message of support to superstar Lionel Messi. Check it out.
Czad napiewam galestów jest stran. Toda Rusia se ilumina, llena de alegría. It's your time to rise. Поднимите руки вверх. Put your hands up.
All right, Joy. Now, my Spanish is a little very extremely rusty, but if I'm getting this right, this is like a play on words, yeah?
Okay, yes, you're right. Basically, people call Messi Leo, which means mess or trouble in Spanish. So this video is saying we were waiting for Leo, Messi, because Israelis were waiting to see him in Israel, but not so much mess, which refers to the fallout after Argentina canceled the game. There's also a comparison of Messi with the Messiah. Do you get it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I get it. Yeah, but from what I've heard, it looks like someone who doesn't quite agree with this, would be Israel's defense minister, Avigdor Lieberman.
Yeah.
Lieberman tweeted that the reason why Messi missed the penalty kick actually against Iceland in Game 1 was because he didn't play the warm-up against Israel.
Yes, you're right. I mean, when I talk to Israelis, I think they're overall still a little hurt about the friendly. So this video kind of shows that Israeli still loves Messi. Another fun fact about this clip, let me tell you, is that Ambassador Stulman is actually from Brazil, which is Argentina's #1 rival in soccer, which is pronounced football, by the way.
It's not.
It is, but anyway, people here in Israel are definitely enjoying the World Cup. If you go to any bar here in Israel, in Tel Aviv, you will see people with different jerseys watching the games together. It's a very nice demonstration of coexistence. Even Israel's foreign ministry spokesman, Emmanuel Nachshon, tweeted wishing success to our neighbors, Saudi Arabia and Egypt, and a brighter future.
All right, well, I know you are very closely following the World Cup, and I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about Argentina and Messi in the coming days. Thanks for the update, Joy.
Thank you.
The new and visually arresting music video for Beyoncé and Jay-Z's Apeshit The Carters has already been viewed over 18 million times since its release on June 16th, and apparently it was produced by Grammy-nominated Jerusalemite Natan Schotenfels. If you haven't seen this incredible new video, which was filmed in the Louvre in Paris, then check this out.
Posting the video to his Facebook page, he wrote, quote, "Produce this iconoclast music video for Beyoncé and Jay-Z directed by Ricky Sayes. Why not?" End quote. Schotenfels was nominated in 2017 along with Vanya Hayman for their work on Coldplay's Up and Up video. And in this latest 6-minute masterpiece, you see Jay-Z and Beyoncé, collectively known as the Carters, dancing and posing at the Louvre, among some of the most famous artworks known to man. The song itself touches upon many different themes, from racism to the gifts Beyoncé has purchased for Jay-Z in the past, and in the end, leaves viewers with their jaws dropped. The Hebrew word of the day is brought to you by IDC Summer Ulpan, open to everyone.
And now for our Hebrew word of the day. From movies to flights, it's always nice to have a sense of direction. That's why today's word is yashir, or direct. Most people don't like being told what to do, but in any partnership or working dynamic, it's important to be yashir, or direct, so that there's no confusion. Then there are also kavim shirim, or direct lines, connecting ideas or points on a map, etc. Whatever the case, don't beat around the bush. Be yashir, and things will happen. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight should be clear and warm with a low of 71 or 22 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow you can expect more sunny and clear skies with a rise in temperatures to a high of 85 or 29 degrees Celsius. All right, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.63 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Israel English News and on Twitter at ILTV News. I'm Aaron Porras, and thank you for watching.